Ever think about just how much CBOs, those community-based organizations, get done? I mean, they're really out there making things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the boots on the ground.
And today we're going deep on something super practical for them to operate well, something that the Southern Africa Litigation Centre, SALC, has really emphasized in their work to make these organizations stronger.
Okay, I'm interested. What is it?
It's all about travel authorization and keeping those finances compliant.
Ah, the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, you got to have those systems running smoothly, especially when you're working with donations and, accountability is key.
Makes sense. You have to be able to show where the money is going.
Exactly. So let's jump right in and see what we can uncover.
All right, lead the way.
So SALC really zeroes in on this idea of travel authorization.
Okay.
And it makes sense. You need a crystal clear record of who's going where, for what reason, all of that. It's like step one for responsible spending and reporting, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. That's the foundation.
Right. And SALC even suggests using like a travel authorization form to capture all of this information up front. Have you run into those at all?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
And the key is it has to happen before anyone even packs a bag, not after.
Absolutely. You've got to lay the groundwork first.
Go ahead.
And actually, SALC points out some really interesting benefits to this.
Yeah, like what?
Well, for one, you can get a good estimate of the total cost of the trip, helps figure out which funds are going to be used. And, for reporting back to the donors, it's super important to have all that documented.
Makes total sense. You don't want any surprises down the line.
Exactly. And, it makes you wonder what kind of messy situations could pop up if you don't have that clarity from the get-go.
Oh, I'm sure there are horror stories out there. But it's not just about the form itself, right? SALC suggests these forms can be pretty detailed.
Right.
So thinking practically, what kind of information do you think is absolutely crucial to have on a travel authorization form?
Well, you got to have the basics. Traveler's name, where they're going, what they're doing there, the dates, all that.
Of course.
But also a breakdown, even if it's preliminary, of those estimated costs. Transportation, where they're staying, daily allowances. And got to know where the money is coming from, got to identify that funding source.
Right, transparency from the start.
Having that snapshot before the trip even starts is super valuable for managing the resource as well.
Totally agree. Now, SALC dives into this bigger picture of finance compliance when it comes to travel. It's not just about, okay, the trip is authorized, you can go, but how is that money handled responsibly?
Right, it's the whole process.
They talk about this need for prior approval. So who do you think should be the one giving that green light in a CBO?
Well, if we're thinking along the lines of how SLC approaches it, emphasizing clear roles and all, it probably should be a direct supervisor or a program manager. Someone who really understands why that travel is happening and has a good grasp of the budget.
Yeah, someone who can connect the dots between the trip and the bigger goals.
Exactly, and make sure that trip is aligned with what the CBO is trying to do.
And what about having those set rates, for mileage, DSA, all that? SALC really underscores how important those are. Why do you think that is?
Well, think about it. Set rates help everything stay consistent and fair.
Okay, I see that.
It streamlines the budgeting process, minimizes any disagreements. And for the donors, it shows them, hey, this organization is on top of things, they're managing responsibly.
And consistently. Without those set rates, I imagine it gets tricky to justify expenses.
Exactly. Accountability gets a whole lot tougher.
Now, SALC doesn't shy away from the whole issue of accountability for the money.
Right, that's key.
They emphasize needing those clear rules about managing the funds and making sure everything is accounted for. It sounds like something CBOs really need to be on top of.
Oh, absolutely. You got to have those policies for how those travel advances are handled, needing receipts, expense reports, and what happens if you don't account for funds.
Consequences, yeah.
Exactly. That's non-negotiable if you're going to maintain that financial integrity. And it all ties back to, following what the donors require and making sure you're playing by the rules.
Following the law, being ethical, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So say someone is working at a CBO and they want to find those specific guidelines, the nitty-gritty about travel finance. Where should they look?
The finance policy, that's like the holy grail. It should lay out everything.
Right, the master document.
And, SALC suggests that maybe some of that key information could be included with that travel authorization form itself. Just, easy access right there.
Smart. So it sounds like what SALC is really saying is that having these systems for travel authorization and finance compliance is more than just paperwork.
It's about building trust. Yeah.
It's about creating a strong CBO that can really serve the community and keep those donors confident in the work.
It's about doing things the right way.
It's about integrity.
It's taking those good governance principles and actually putting them into practice.
And, it's making me think about all the CBOs out there. What's one step they can take today to strengthen how they handle travel authorization or finance compliance?
That's a great question. It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Thanks for diving into this with me. It's been really insightful.
My pleasure. It's important stuff.
It really is.